The wine is named after George Latour, so I can't do anything about this wine without talking about him just a little bit. He was a French scientist that immigrated into the United States in the late 1800s, and he was an entrepreneurial, true spirit, and he started straight away getting connected to the wine business by starting a cream of tartar business, literally scraping the tanks, the tartar, off of the inside of wine tanks, washing the crystals and shipping them back east for sale. So George had other businesses as well. One thing he was pivotal in was importing grafted grapevines on resistant rootstock, which helped California replant our vineyards after phylloxera infestation. So a very important role in that. And somewhere along the line through that, he was able to found BV, Beaulieu Vineyard, in the heart of Rutherford. At that time, though, he also had foresight, and so he brought in a Russian-born chemist by the name of Andrei Chelychev to be his winemaker. And Andrei transformed how people thought about Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon. With the 1936 Georgia Latour, which was our inaugural vintage. And Andrei stayed with BV for some 30 years, but his influence on the California wine industry continues today, and certainly throughout the very long life that Andrei had. He touched many people during that period and changed some of the things that we did that make remarkable wines today. Our vineyards are in Rutherford, and the heart of it is the core of what was George Latour's homestead ranches, affectionately called BV1 and BV2. BV1 is located directly across from the winery, and BV2 just a little bit further south on Highway 29. Both vineyards start at Highway 29 and extend on up the Rutherford Bench to the west. And both give us the classic Rutherford characteristics. They're dark, dense wines with sort of exotic aromas, this plush density, a texture that's beautiful, and a little bit of a finish of a cocoa powder tannin that Andrei deemed was the Rutherford dust. So the infamous Rutherford dust. So I hope you see that in these wines. In our vineyards, we have a variety of clonal selections for those of you who are intrigued by clones. Some classic ones like 4, 6, and 8. And then our newer plantings, replantings for that is, are mostly focused on things like 169 and 685. I personally love 169 because I love its blue fruit profile and elegance, and I think that really works with George Latour. In the winery, we're working with stainless fermentation, some concrete, and some whole barrel fermentation. And so that's when you pop the top off the barrel, fill it with fruit, and then keep the fermentation going in the barrel. It's very laborious, but it does create a marriage, an early marriage between the wine and the oak that's unique and has a roundness to it and a structure that you don't quite get in concrete or stainless. So that's about 10% of this blend and does play a role in the style of George Latour. When Andrei started this blend back in the 30s, 40s, he had really no access to French oak. And so he used the American oak that was available to him. It probably was not particularly expressive American oak like we have today, but that he stayed with that all throughout his tenure at BV. And in fact, after he left, we also stayed with that. Then at about the early 90s, he was visiting the winery and spoke with then winemaker Joel Aiken. And he asked Joel, why are you still using American oak? And Joel said, well, that's what you did. That's what this blend is. And he said, well, everything's changed. I've changed. Why haven't you changed? So eventually we moved into all French oak. We tend to pick oak selections that are of lighter toast from various coopers. And we age the wine about 22 months as separate components, assemble the blend, and then hold it for about a year before bottling. for release. And so I think, 2021, I think you will see remarkable wines on this panel and agree with all of us that it's an outstanding vintage. Simply about the vintage, we had sufficient rainfall, a warm, dry spring, some early, even summer temperatures, and extremely low yields that created an intensity in these wines. I think our 2021 Georgia Latour is very classic for what we're trying to achieve in private reserve. This wine has about 6% Petit Verdot blended in it. And that adds to the richness, the graphite, the cassis that you're going to find in this wine. But I love the intensity. I love the dark fruits, the violets. And I hope that it's showing that to you as well, with maybe a little bit Rutherford dust in the finish. Some vintages are challenging us. They challenge everything we know about winemaking. And other vintages are there to reassure us that we should keep doing this year on year. And I think 2021 is one of those years that gave us that reassurance and certainly makes me want to continue. Was really glad to get to share this with you. 2020, it's a piece of Napa Valley history, as Antonio said. 2025, we're going to be celebrating 125 years of BV's legacy. But come visit us, but come back in 2026 also, because we are reimagining our complete hospitality venue and going into the Old Stone Winery, and it's going to be something really special to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Margo. That was great.